I know, it's a sad world where we can't talk about Mordekaiser. But thankfully we are not getting too far away, because as always, with a new champion, it means there are new voice lines that we can go through. And it just so happens to be that these voice lines belong to Mel, who is not that far away from Mordekaiser. But regardless, so far, from what I've seen around the internet, everyone likes Mel as a champion in League of Legends. The design is good. The fact that her skin in League of Legends is actually the one from Arcane is amazing. Even though, yes, we are technically buying a lore skin, but you know what? I think that's the right way to do it. And even her abilities have been received by people pretty well, and that is despite the fact that she has a really toxic ability. That reflection is gonna make a lot of people mad. So far, Mel has been on a really good track. Now it's all gonna go down to balancing. But also, since she's so heavily connected to Arcane, everyone's been curious about her bio, which is something we didn't get yet, but also the voice lines we are gonna get in the game. And that is why we are here. As always, we go through the voice lines and we pick out the most interesting ones that usually hide some lore. So without further ado, I don't really need legs for this video, so let's go.
I see your face, Deceiver, and you shall never forget mine.
Starting straight from the bat, anyone who has seen Arcane, I do not think I really have to explain anything, do I? The powers that Mel currently has were technically stolen from LeBlanc. She then tried to awaken her powers during Arcane, which she succeeded at. Mel now became a powerful mage. And then LeBlanc tried to recruit her into the Black Rose and she failed, and now the two are rivals. That's pretty much as deep as the complexity gets.
Mother, I'm ready to show you what I've learned.
See, now I'm curious if this is a direct response to a quote that Ambessa also has. In my head, I can vividly imagine Ambessa saying, "Show me what you've learned." But that could be because I believe that is a quote that Illaoi has. But also, Ambessa is just constantly teaching people stuff. This included Mel, but also Caitlyn. She told her how to be a true Noxian, which Caitlyn didn't become. But I have the feeling this is not gonna be the only quote that Mel is gonna have against Ambessa, since this is technically our first duo of champions of a mother and a daughter. Not a father and daughter, because technically there is Singed and Orianna now.
A man with an inflated ego. Groundbreaking.
Oh yeah, she is a Noxian. She's gonna have a lot of quotes against other Noxians. This reminds me, you know how a while ago we did the video where we compared all the champions power-wise, and at the very bottom there used to be Draven versus Jinx? This was before Arcane. Yeah, after Shimmer got introduced, I think Draven is now the weakest of all the champions according to the lore now.
Our alliance was fruitful, Kiraman. A pity it had to end.
See, did their alliance really have to end though? I don't think Ambessa really left Piltover on bad terms, did she? This is a strange quote, and now I'm wondering what is the future relationship gonna be between Piltover and Noxus.
Professor, is this your last act of defiance?
Of course, yes, Mel knows Professor Heimerdinger really well. Also, this is a quote where Heimerdinger is technically an enemy, so it is a what-if scenario. But what she is referencing here by the last act of defiance is the Council kicking Heimerdinger out. So yes, I believe this is a reference to Arcane.
Such despair. What is it that haunts you, Hui?
Why Hui? This is odd, because Hui is somewhere in Ionia. Should be very much unrelated to Mel. Is it because Mel is supposed to be played as a mid laner, so there is a chance she might face Hui more often? Which is why Riot usually puts these interactions into the game? If that's the case, then she should also have a lot of other interactions with other mid laners, even if it is unrelated to the lore. But if it is, then you know, a second invasion of Ionia might happen.
What will prevail? Our affection or our ambition?
See, affection. Yeah, so this was a discussion that's been very active during Arcane. Because during Season 1, Mel really treated Jace as an asset. You could see that from the very beginning. And then there were some hints of love, but it was still unclear whether it was real or whether Mel was just toying with Jace. But then in Season 2, there were some twists and turns, and now it became more reasonable for the two to actually be in love. So it seems like these quotes are gonna be more and more of a proof for this.
I overlooked your mayhem once, Jinx. I will not repeat that mistake.
See, did she overlook it really? I mean, Ambessa is the one who leveraged Jinx to turn Caitlyn into a dictator, which was something that didn't really have too much of a point in Arcane in the end. But it's kind of funny how she's saying that she overlooked Jinx's mayhem, while Jinx was the one who fired the rocket at her.
Let's see whose light shines brighter.
Well, yeah, so Lux is played mid lane too, which is likely what this is. Also, I believe both Mel and Lux are also played as supports, which is why it is likely that these two will face each other. Which again is why Mel likely has this interaction in the first place. There aren't really any lore connections here.
You move through this world as I once did, Senna. As if you fear losing yourself to your past.
Okay, so I don't think Senna is really played as mid lane unless I'm crazy, so they are counting on Mel also being a support. Though it is interesting that she's talking about Senna, who realistically, Senna has way more experience than Mel. If you go through everything that happened to Senna, including the Sentinels of Light, where Senna, in case you don't know, in the Wild Rift version of the story, she actually visited her own grave, and she had a moment where, yeah, she really tackled the fact that she is dead. So Mel, I know you are an experienced counselor, but Senna might be a step beyond what you're talking about.
Tell me, Jericho Swain, is your vision as sharp as your tongue?
And there we go. Not only is this first encounter, but also this is the first time we see Mel interacting with Swain. Because it seems like Mel wants to return to Noxus to become some kind of a leader. And of course, that spot should be occupied by Swain. So even though Mel is a rival for LeBlanc, she is also technically rivaling Swain. Unless the two find a way to team up.
Vi, when you try to please everyone, no one is satisfied.
This is obviously a reference to Arcane, where Vi played for both Zone and Piltover, since there is the Enforcers incident. And did she satisfy no one? I would argue she did satisfy Caitlyn.
You claim to desire peace, but it seems our definition may differ.
Yes, she was fighting for peace. But in the end, even he didn't really believe in it. Although that was when it was a little bit too late.
I never thought I'd see the day. Let us fight together, Mother, as equals.
Of course, this is an obvious what-if scenario, because we know what happened in Arcane. And yes, now we can see that she is gonna have more quotes with Ambessa, as she should.
My mother is willing to sacrifice anything. Anyone. If you value your life, do not hold back.
Oh, this is the first move against enemy Ambessa. Okay, makes sense. This is not the two facing each other on the battlefield in a moment. No, this is when the game starts, they start moving, and there is Ambessa on the other team. I keep forgetting that Riot actually has specific quotes for scenarios like this.
You taught me well, Mother. A wolf has no mercy.
Obvious reference to Arcane. Again, this is a quote that Ambessa used many times. A wolf has no mercy is almost Ambessa's motto.
You are no Medada.
I believe this was a quote that Ambessa used in Arcane too. I could be totally crazy here, but I heard someone use this. And I'm pretty sure it would be Ambessa, because who else would it be? Mel? I don't know. Although it could be Mel saying, I am no Medarda in Season 1. I could be totally wrong here.
Draven. Such bravado and such fragility.
Again, hey, it's just an Noxian. There better be some quotes against Darius, right? Because Draven is the less important one. Oh, I know why Draven... Okay, so Draven is here because it's an AD carry and she can be played as support. Oh.
With my deepest respect and appreciation, Professor.
There we go. She liked Heimringer. That was obvious from Season 1. And she really hated kicking him out of the council. I remember that. So there we are.
From one artist to another, your passion outshines the pain.
Now I realize that, yeah, I guess Hui can also be playing as both mid lane and a support, right? Is that why she has these specific quotes? She only has quotes against people that can be both a mid laner or a support or just an AD carry. Oh, I guess that includes Senna too, because it can be an AD carry and support. So they always have like a dual role.
Another love. torn away. Goodbye, Jace.
Another love, you say? But yeah, okay, that's another proof that they were in love. Makes sense.
Such senseless chaos, Jinx.
Again, not really an overreaction to her firing the rocket at you, which was very effective.
Tell the others I'm coming for them, sister.
Ha! Okay, that's a jab at a very, very specific scene in Arcane that you may remember. There was the one time that LeBlanc called Mel's sister and everyone got confused. But now it makes sense that they are not real sisters unless there gets to be another twist with the power. And the power that Mel has is somehow related to LeBlanc or something like that. But it's more that LeBlanc treated Mel as a sister because they were both powerful mages. And within the Black Rose, it is more like a brotherly and sisterly cult.
Even in defeat, your light never dimmed.
Again, Lux, a support, Would be funny if it turns out there is like a Noxian and Demacian show in the future or something like that.
Senna, there is no more past. Rest now.
Again, now that I realize it is an AD carry and a support, it's not as cool as if there was some lore connection.
General, didn't foresee this outcome, did you?
There we go, again Swain. And again, I just realized Swain, mid lane, support, makes sense. I will say though, considering what happened in the cinematic and stuff like that, I would like to see someone like Katarina, you know, also a Noxian. Maybe, dare I say, Mordekaiser. But also, I just realized, there should definitely be a quote against Kindred, right? Especially with the wolf and how it's connected to Ambessa and Mel and everything around. Please, don't disappoint me.
Was the badge worth it, Vi?
Okay, this is immediately followed by another really cool jab. But now I realized, why is Mel mad at Vi? Is she mad that Vi didn't stop Caitlyn or something like that? Like, technically Vi joined Mel's side, right? It just turned out to be Mel's fault that she got kidnapped by the Black Rose.
And here I thought you were more than another man with a god complex.
Hey, he didn't have a god complex. He was just given a power against his will, mind you. And he realized, hey, I can use it for good. By annihilating all consciousness from this universe.
They fall before me like long shadows cast by a setting sun!
That is a cool line for a pentakill. Though I will say, these lines will probably get cooler once we know the origin of this power.
My apologies. I don't recall asking for your input.
Okay, and again, remember, it is a counselor, so there has to be certain cockiness.
If blood must be drawn to secure our safety, so be it.
This is unironically quite close to Ambessa's line from Arcane. You know, wrath must be met with wrath. This is quite close to that, just not as cool.
Medardas are known for our strategy and strength. Follow my direction and we'll emerge from this victorious.
The Medarda are also known to be scheming a lot, even though that might have been just Ambessa's specialty.
I am no stranger to war. Allow me to finish what our foes have started.
See, now you are no stranger to war. Arcane gotta push this forward, but what's cool is that this is actually heavily related to the Medarda family in general. Because from Ambessa's lore we know that she learned about war when she was sent onto the battlefield to just collect swords and just take in the aftermath of a battle. And we know that Mel was taught a similar thing by Ambessa when she was brought into that one place that now we know should be in Ionia, and there they just had to execute a noble. So yes, she is no stranger to war, but let me tell you, even on the aftermath of the bridge, she was really surprised, so this all just was an outcome of Arcane.
Perhaps it's time for the era of the Arcane.
This is a cool one, because this is a reference to Season 1, where Jace and Victor started Hextech for the first time, and Jace corrected her that it would be time for a new era of Hextech. But of course, Hextech didn't turn out to be the best thing. So now it is time for the era of Arcane.
It seems as if my absence has left you doubting my abilities. I'll resolve that misconception.
Who is she talking to here? Are we back in the era of summoners and she's talking to us directly? Because this is just her first move.
My family once cast me out, yet part of me still loves them.
This is a direct reference to Mel's lore, finally. Because of course, Ambessa sent her to Piltover to hide her from the Black Rose, which, eventually failed.
Everything I accomplished in Piltover means little in the eyes of Noxus.
That's true. She did become the counselor of Piltover, and then she kind of lost everything. So yeah, in the eyes of Noxus, she didn't really bring much back home. Besides her powers, okay? Besides her new powers.
To think these gifts were hidden within me. The lives I could have saved.
Again, this is a reference to Ambessa stealing something from LeBlanc and the Black Rose and then putting it into Mel, and now she has magical powers, which she has had from birth, technically.
Raised in Noxus, shaped by Piltover, tainted with magic. Many question my motives, but their whispers do not define me.
This is the exact same thing. She's kind of just going through her story, and now that made me realize, when her bio comes out, will we learn about what kind of magic that was? Because right now, we still don't know. And I don't want to wait for the Ambessa book to learn about that.
I feel them watching, desperate for something that proves I'm unfit to lead. Let them waste their time.
Unfit to lead. Okay, so Mel is heading to Noxus with the idea that she might be able to lead it. So yes, Swain is technically her opponent now, unless Swain lets her rule Noxus together with him. So either she is gonna join the Triforix, or she will have to find another way to lead the Immortal Bastion. But while that is happening, she is also fighting the Black Rose, so Mel is not in a great place right now.
The Medardas depend on my strength, my unwavering conviction.
See, here's the thing, how many Medardas are left out there? Like, yes, it's a big family, and Ambessa was the one leading it, and now Ambessa is gone, and so, Mel is taking on, but who else is out there? We don't know.
Stay with me.
Yep, that's a mother and daughter relationship right there on the Summoner's Rift. Be ready to see them killing each other a lot, especially if they become the meta.
What is it that you hope to accomplish?
This is, I'm pretty sure, a direct quote from Arcane. This is a line that she used during the council meetings, but I'm not exactly sure which scene that was. It could be Mel talking to Jace and Victor the first time they started tinkering with Hextech.
Your promises will not sway me.
Oh, she does also have Atakan and also Baron. Okay, hold on.
The perfect creature to test the limits of my magic.
Okay, not that interesting. But she does have Atakan, even though it's not really that interesting, unfortunately. But again, Atakan is a demon, and demons like to lie and sway people and stuff like that, which is why, it makes sense for Atakan to promise something to Mel, but she's not gonna buy it.
This conflict was beyond your comprehension.
I don't know. She's a mage. It's not too hard to figure out.
Well, I would have preferred a compromise.
Also, it is nice to see that she is still a politician, I guess.
Call it magical intervention.
Ha, get it? Because it's not divine intervention. That would be Victor, I guess.
Constant use of my magic is beginning to take a toll. A brief break should do the trick.
I wonder if in a way this is also a reference to Arcane. Because Singed mentioned to Victor that the more he's gonna use his powers, the more his own body is gonna wither. Maybe in this universe it turns out this is the case with every mage. And just the more powerful your magic is, the worse it gets for your body. In fact, Tinfoil had theory. This is what Ornn has always been saying. He built an indestructible bridge over the abyss, and then Lysandra enchanted it with magic, and so she ruined it. Yeah, maybe Mel is going through the same thing.
Fatigue is the enemy of success. Rest is strategic. Restoring the body and reigniting the mind.
Did she just contradict herself directly with two quotes that are right next to each other when she's saying that fatigue is the enemy of success, but then she says that strategically she needs to rest to combat fatigue?
My magic still flows. Do my sigils protect it?
Sigils? What kind of lore is gonna be out there? Protect what? Protect her body? Protect the magic? What's going on here? I think we need Mel's bio.
The wrath of the Medardas!
Hey, wrath shall be met with wrath. It's a very Medarda thing.
Illuminate their lies!
Oh, illuminate their enemies. We've heard that somewhere, right? We all know that line.
I kneel to no one.
That is a line that Ambessa also has, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I Kneel to No One is also a line that Ambessa has, right?
War should only be a last resort.
Haha! That is a quote from Arcane, we all remember that. This was right before the entire rebellion happened. They mentioned during the council meeting, after they got all hit by Jinx, that war should only be the last resort.
The Black Rose will answer for all that they've done.
Or what you've done to the Black Rose, okay? This is a double-sided thing. It's a very shady thing, but this goes both ways.
What else is hidden beneath my sigils?
Okay, so it is sigils. So she is talking about the tattoos on her body, which are the golden things, which is where the power comes from. But we still have no idea what that is.
Kino, I should have been there for you.
Of course, Kino is her brother who died through some shadiness around the Black Rose again. It should be the fact that the Black Rose were looking for the person with magic, which should be Ambessa's child, which would be Kino, but it turned out not to be Kino, but Mel. And so hey, Mel should have been there, but she couldn't have been. She was exiled. She was thrown into Piltover.
The best lies are wrapped in truth.
Haha, that is also a line directly from Ambessa. This was used in Arcane, and so, yep, Mel is her daughter.
I'm no longer bound by her standards.
And here she is talking about Ambessa, who had the standards of her becoming the wolf. She even called her the wolf, so don't be ungrateful, okay?
The wolf, the fox, both necessary, both unrelenting.
Cunning like the fox and merciless like the wolf. I believe that is the saying that Ambessa used in Arcane.
Mother, I couldn't.
She should have used some kind of a reference for her being the wolf, you know, as a nod towards Arcane and her final moment there.
Does my family fall with me?
See, yes, technically, that's what I said before. Like, who else is there from the Medarda? We don't know. And that is it. So overall, pretty good, not gonna lie. It is cool that there are a lot of cool references to Arcane and all the characters that she would normally meet on the Summoner's Rift, so it's the classic thing that they do every time, and it works when it comes to voice lines of champions. But with Mel being so lore heavy and based around Arcane, I'm not gonna lie, I did expect a little bit more. For example, again, nothing big against Mordekaiser, which is kinda sad. Also, nothing for Vladimir or Katarina. And since she had lines against LeBlanc and Swain, it would have made sense to have something against Darius. Especially since he also appeared in the cinematic. So yeah, overall, these lines are good. The only issue is, there could be slightly more. And I know that Riot doesn't want to spin this out of control. They constantly talk about how they are trying to shrink down the voice line so that the files are fine. But again, Mel is kinda lore heavy, and it's probably gonna get even bigger once we get the bio and once we get the Ambessa book. But here's the thing, they've done this with Ambessa, but Riot is now able to delay some of the voice lines that are coming to the game. I believe it was Ambessa specifically who had some voice lines that were locked behind the release of Arcane. So after Arcane came out, then there are some new voice lines that were added into the game. Those might have been aimed at Victor to hide spoilers. So who knows, maybe when Act 2 of Season 1 comes out and there is more lore around Noxus, we will get more voice lines in the game. But till then, yeah, this was fine. There were cool references to Arcane, the lines made sense for the most part, minus some contradictions, with the one bad thing being, there was no Mordekaiser.